Hey guys, what's going on? So this news dropped yesterday, and I trust that you saw my post about it. I didn't do a video about it, and I'm doing a video now. And like, there's a lot of information here, and it all doesn't matter, but it does matter to Steven Stanton 8554, let's go! Demon Hunter is finally getting a buff. It's going to be the best thing ever, and Steven Stanton is going to be the happiest man alive. If you have not subscribed to Steven Stanton 8554, go subscribe to him right now. He's trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Just go subscribe to him. He is the best. I follow his content all the time. I am subscribed. I am his one subscriber. He is on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so if you haven't already, go subscribe to Steven Stanton 8554. His dreams of becoming a Rush Royale content creator are finally becoming alive because they are buffing Demon Hunter. That is correct. They are. So if you guys don't understand, like, my Steven Stanton 8554 saga, just go into my shorts. He is responsible for 90% of my shorts. I noticed, like, a long time ago that the same person just kept asking every single post, or almost every single post, about Demon Hunter getting a buff. That he was just always just like, this is the only unit that he cares about, and he has just been every single post, buff Demon Hunter. Where's that Demon Hunter buff? You should buff Demon Hunter. And it's so funny. It became just, like, really funny to me, and he's responsible for 90% of my shorts. But yes, Steven Stanton 8554, it's getting a buff. Treon's getting a buff, Bard's getting a buff, Phoenix is getting a nerf, Genie's getting a rework, Demon Hunter's getting a buff, Inquisitor's getting a buff, Stasis is getting a Trap Operation rework, and Portal Mage is getting a rework. Rework is much more important to me than the idea of buffing and nerfing, because most people will read this as they did yesterday, as they do every single time. And what they do is they will go like, oh, like, Phoenix is getting a nerf. Oh my God, it's going to be like the worst thing ever. I just invested all my money into Phoenix, like, and now it's going to be terrible. And now I have to switch back to my Boreas. I don't know. People are very extreme with their buffs and nerfs. And I'm here to tell you that none of it matters. Nothing matters. If you think that anything matters, nothing matters. And I will tell you this by saying that this was in January 31st. This was the last, I believe this was the last, most recent, balance changes. And if we go through these balance changes, this is what you have to, like, you can comparatively compare these. Oh no, Fortuna's getting a nerf. Everybody's not gonna use Fortuna anymore. I just invested $2,000 into my Fortuna. It's gonna be terrible now. Nobody's gonna use Fortuna because it's getting a nerf. Yeah, people still use Fortuna. Zeus is still good, and it got a buff. Does anybody ever talk about this buff? No. Oh, Dryad's getting a buff. Oh, it's gonna be so much better than Scrapper. Oh, it's so good. 30 to 50%. It's so good. That's such a big percentage boost. 30 to 50%. It's not like 30 to 31%. 30 to 50%. It's gonna change the game. Everybody's gonna switch to Dryad. It's so good now. No, it's still the same. The decks that used Dryad before are the same decks that use Dryad now. Nobody switched from using Blooming Dash Blade Dancer to using Dryad instead. There aren't, like, Spirit Master decks using Dryad instead of Scrapper. No, Scrapper's getting a nerf. It's over. It's over for Scrapper. Nobody's gonna use Scrapper anymore. It's the absorption boost is going from 4 to 5. That's so much more. It's crazy. Nobody's gonna use this. It's nerfed to the ground. No, people still use Scrapper in all of the Scrapper decks that people have. Reduce the travel time of the Scrapper's boost by 1%, 1 second, for 1 more second. It's gonna be terrible now. It's reduced. Nobody's gonna use it. No, people still use it, and it still works. It doesn't work all the time, because of the gunslinger interaction, but people still do it. And if you can do it, you still do it. And if you can't do it, you just play a different deck, and that deck is still good. Gunslinger is nerfed to the ground. See, like, this is how people react. I'm doing this as a hyperbolic, like, I'm using hyperbole here, but kind of, because this is exactly how people reacted. And if you go to the Discord, to the current, what's it called? The current patches, which I'll get to. This is how people are reacting. And this is how they react all the time. Oh, Inquisitor's gonna be so good now. It's getting a buff. No, you can still beat Inquisitor with everything that you used to beat Inquisitor with. Riding Hood is still the same. I think you see it a little bit more often, but you're still able to beat it with whatever deck you were using before. Blade Dancer was always good. Does anybody use Engineer? I guess slightly more than they used to. But you're not really seeing PvP Engineer. Even they did this because the whole reason why they did this, among epic units with talents, the Engineer is one of the most popular. However, it still lags behind the Crystalmancer. Are people switching from Crystalmancer to Engineer now that Engineer has a buff? No. Rogue getting a buff. I think this was cool for like 2 days after it came out, and then nobody cares. Sharpshooter. People didn't use Sharpshooter before this patch, and they certainly don't use it now. Vampire. This is I don't even know what this buff even is. Alchemist. Are all the Alchemist decks like alive now? And that is all of the patch notes. That's all of the patch notes of every single one of these like 6-7 units, right? 6-7 units got things, and those are the patch notes. And it was like this very exciting thing because, oh my god, everything's gonna change! Treon is getting a buff! It's gonna be the best unit now, and Phoenix is gonna be terrible! No. No. Nothing's gonna change. I mean, maybe some things are slightly gonna change. The specific reason why they're doing a lot of these, I did an entire video that they are going to nerf Stasis. I did this video 3 weeks ago, apparently. I'm going to like scroll to it. You can watch me go on a diatribe about how I knew that this was going to happen, even though it sounds stupid. The idea of nerfing Stasis. Oh, here we go. Stasis will be nerfed soon. I did it a month ago. You can watch that video, and I perfectly explain why they do buffs and nerfs to begin with, why they will rework cards, and they do it because they control the game. Stasis was you know what's funny about Stasis? I think that because they changed how PvP even functions, because that's the PvP change is one of the things that's happening, and it's no longer death waves. It's just triple bosses now. You like after the wave, a little like slime thing goes into the center of the field. Both players deal damage to it, and then the amount of damage that you do to it, your opponent gets that in extra amount of health for their boss. And so whoever is dealing more damage, because again, say it with me, this is a DPS this is a DPS game. This is strictly a DPS game where there is a best DPS unit, and that DPS unit is the best unit in the game, and nothing else matters. I knew that Stasis was going to be nerfed because everybody in the top 100 in leaderboards they were running the Phoenix Kobold Stasis deck because Phoenix was the best damage unit. Stasis stalled the field because of because of death waves. It's all based on time, not about damage. It's kind of about damage to a certain point, but at a certain point when the Phoenix deck can't deal 500 trillion damage, bosses and mobs, when they have 500 quadrillion health or whatever, right? That becomes not about damage anymore, and it's who can stall the field more. And Stasis stalled the field the best. Even though Stasis is a dumb card that shouldn't work in any format, I knew that they were going to nerf Stasis because it was a dominant card because of death waves, because they found a way to abuse it in death waves. Now, if the top 100 players just played the game like a normal player and just tried to go for damage using Trapper and Enchant Sword and Night Statue and Chemist and Sharpshooter and all of these other, like Witch, all of these other damage-based modifiers, as opposed to Stasis, they would have never touched Stasis. Why? How do I know that? Because they've never needed to nerf Stasis. There were previous metas. How long has Death Waves been out? Death Waves has been out for a while. Phoenix has been out recently. And there were other units that could have abused this mechanic. There could have been Treant Stasis decks, but nobody thought to do it. And so they never needed to nerf Stasis because Stasis is a dumb card. But then all of a sudden, these Phoenix players started to realize, oh, wow, we could use Stasis to stop the field and all of a sudden and just like plow through. And then, and so then that's what happened. So I knew that they were going to functionally change Stasis. And these are all coming from a YouTuber. It's No Controle. I believe it's Portuguese, if my Google Translate is correct. And I was basically just screenshotting his patch notes and then translating them very roughly into English, thanks to Google Translate. And for the most part, I think they got it right. There's obvious differences. The point to decrease reduction per level 0.25 to 1.5, or to 250 to 2.25 to 0.15 seconds. Increase activation interval from 5 seconds to 6.1 seconds. None of that really matters. The thing that matters here is fix a bug where stasis traps and similar control effects were not ignored by monsters in Death Wave. Monsters will now periodically ignore stasis and similar control effects. The fact that they even thought to change this is specifically because of Death Waves, but they're also getting rid of Death Waves. So the only thing that this is going to affect is co-op. Because people were using it in co-op, because now co-op is a time-based event, because it's now co-op Death Waves. And so people were using this in co-op in order to get larger and larger times. It's not a big part of what a co-op setup is. You're not going to go from 45 to an hour and 45 because you're using stasis. You still have to do other things. You can't just lag that amount of time. But it is part of Death Wave co-op, and it's part of a strategy in Death Wave co-op. But now that they're getting rid of Death Wave PvP, and they're changing PvP to the slime thing, where you deal damage to it and then it gives it to your opponent as health, I don't think stasis is really going to fit into PvP anymore. And so what people are going to do is it's just going to be Phoenix, Kobold, and then just another another damage reduction unit, like a Chemist or a Trapper or a Witch. It's just gonna become that. And so even though the nerf is a thing, it's only now gonna really affect co-op, because even if you slow the field, you still have to kill the 3 bosses that. You're just going back to boss waves now. And so if you couldn't kill before, when Death Waves is a thing, the bosses would just come out in the allotted amounts of time. So if you could stall the field for 2 minutes, you could have 4 sets of bosses on your side of the field. And you could potentially not die because stasis was that controlling, because it would just literally stop the field. And if you had enough stasises on the field, you could have stasis portals everywhere and just stop the field. And your opponent would have to, beat all of the bosses, and you could potentially stall the field so much to where your opponent eventually gets bedlammed or something, and then it just kills them. And if they don't have stasis, then they don't have anything to slow anything, and then they just die. And you have so many stasises that even though you have 5 bosses on your side of the field, because they're not able to get to your gate, that's how you win. And that was the entire stasis strategy. But now with it being you have to kill the bosses, stasis doesn't do anything anymore. With it just being triple bosses and triple bosses getting harder and harder and harder, and then you having to exist in a triple boss wave till you kill it. Because if you can't kill it and your opponent insta kills it, it's still just going to sit there and wait for you to kill it. And so you have to deal damage. Stasis is not going to help you with that. There's a Portal Mage nerf. This was a strategy that is a very strange strategy that people were using. And it's basically, you have the ability to Portal Mage a bunch of bosses and multiple times, and give your opponent a large quantity of healed bosses or mini bosses or groups of monsters. And they just don't want that strategy to exist either. So they're changing that. The Phoenix nerf, they're saying that it's for balance, and I'll believe it when I see it. I don't trust them. I don't trust that this is going to make Phoenix on par with everything else. There's too much everything else. There's too much, like, maybe it'll be on par with other event units, like the best event units. Like, maybe it'll be on par with, like, Phoenix and Genie and Treant, like, whatever their top, like, 3 or 4 event units. And that would be a step in the right direction. But I also still don't believe that either. We haven't had a meta in a little bit that has been healthy, that has made me want to do a tier list, which is why I haven't done a tier list in a very long time. There has been a dominant card that just owns the meta. And if you don't have that, then you'll just never lose. You'll just never win. And if you have something else, you're just going to play, you're basically 50-50 with everything else, and you just always lose to the one thing. So if you have Blade Dancer, you're probably going to be 50-50 with a Spirit Master deck. You're going to be 50-50 with like a Treant deck. You're going to be 50-50 with a Bruiser deck, and then you'll just always lose to Phoenix or Genie. If you are a Phoenix or Genie deck, you're going to beat everything else, and then you're going to be 50-50 with another Phoenix or another Genie deck. And that's the meta. I don't know how much this is going to change the meta. Nerfing Phoenix, buffing or nerfing Genie again. Level 7 unit damage reduced. Oh, I don't even know what this number is. This is a crazy number. Level 7 vortex damage reduced. The increased charge damage bonus goes from 1.5 to 2%. The charge shifts some of Genie's power from early game to late game. By increasing the charge bonus, we're compensating for the loss of early game power. This will allow the experienced players to make better use of the unit and will make the Genie more interesting to play in the new mode. They're basically giving you more damage to charge to your Genie charges. So, if anything, this isn't even a rework. It's just a straight up buff. Genie, reducing the amount of bonus that you get early game, Genie players don't care about. If you're a Genie player and you have 5k crit, the early game is not your problem. It was never your problem. You could probably survive on 4 Genies for rounds 1 through 6. You know, like, it doesn't matter. And so the idea of getting more damage with your charge counters, if anything, this is a super Genie buff. I don't even know why they called this a rework. It's not. It's just a straight up buff. So now Genie's going to be even better than it was before. And so it's just going to be Genie and Phoenix, which is the current meta. The Treant buff, the Bard buff, damage increase per level increased from 13 to 18. None of that matters. You're not even going to notice it. Reduced damage bonus per charge, 1.5 to 1. That's a pretty big decrease, but I don't think it matters. Maybe it matters in the scope of like the fact that that Bard can get like 500 stacks, and the difference between a 1.5 boost to to a 1% boost, losing 0.5 on each of those. I guess that's a thing. Bonus after 300 charges increase from 0.3 to 0.35. The fact that they're increasing it afterwards is just going to balance that out to make it the same that it was currently. We support deck diversity. Bard is currently weaker than Genie and Phoenix, but these changes should bring them closer to power. Plus, we really like his music. The Treant buff, it's just a % damage to charges. Again, nerfing and buffing cards in the way that they nerf and buff cards, you're not going to see any actual difference. You're not going to notice any difference. You're not going to, like, nothing is going to be all of a sudden greater than everything else. Demon Hunter buff, I feel the same way about this. Evil absorption bonus after 90 marks increases from 0.5 to 1. Twilight Hunt, the Hunter rank reduction, the cooldown reduction being reduced from 15 seconds to 10 seconds. I think that that's probably one of the best changes. Being able to absorb things faster is what probably killed the late game potential for Demon Hunter in Death Waves, in the same way that it would kill Inquisitor. I remember when they reduced the reduction for when they introduced Death Waves, and they were like, oh, well, the game is becoming faster, so we should reduce cooldowns. And so they reduced the cooldown on Dark Inquisitor absorbing Inquisitors, and they reduced the cooldown on Monk for his ability, the mana ability. But they didn't do it for everything. And the fact that they didn't do it for everything meant that other things like this was just going to fall behind. One of the best buffs that they could do for Treant, that would actually be a buff, is reducing the mana ability. The ability, like, Treant would be so good if you could instantly, if there was no cooldown on his ability and you could just press it whenever, Treant would be so good. And that's why they don't do it. But the fact that it's still like 30 seconds, it's so long. And that is how Treant is getting most of its power. Most of its power is coming from being able to press the button. It's not a 2 to 2.5%. That's not Treant's power. Treant's power is specifically tied to how often can I press that button. If you have a level 7 on the field, how often can I press this button to give all my Treants a stack? Because everything else has the ability to gain stacks so fast. The Bard getting stacks, Phoenix getting stacks, Genie getting stacks. The amount of efficiency that everything else has the ability to get stacks is the difference between why Treant is not that great and Phoenix is really great and Genie is really great and Bard is so much better. That is the real reason. It's not these percentages, it's time. Now that every game is faster, being able to increase something that you do in a time-based fashion is why it's better. So seeing that the cooldown on the Twilight Hunter, in order to get it to go from 15 seconds to 10 seconds, I think that is a good change. Is it going to make a difference? Probably not. None of this is. Nothing matters. Bonus after 60 marks increases by 0.5 to 1 second. Or to 0.5% to 1%. It's gonna, all of this is to make Demon Hunter better. It's not gonna be on par with anything else. I don't think this is gonna change the meta for Demon Hunter. Inquisitor buff, Dark Knight, bonus after 20 absorptions increase from 2.5 to 3. A 0.5% bonus is something. I don't think it's good. The Ronin talent, increased damage cap. It probably means from 500 to 800. Either that or it should say decreased damage cap from 800 to 500. The Unity talent, increased damage bonus from 15% to 20%. increase crit chance from 8% to 10%. I don't think any of this matters. These are all like really small percentages. And then for Blazing Burns, you're going to see less Blazing Burns. I think that's a good change. Especially because Gunslinger doesn't cure Blazing Burns anymore. So as we thought, the infinite amounts of Blazing Burns that are currently in the game, they're just like, it's like, why even have Toxic in the game? Just every round, just throw out 5 Blazing Burns, and that's that's enough Toxic. Just take out all the Toxic units and do 10 Blazing Burns every single round. That's how you can replace Toxic. Just delete Shaman out of the game, delete Witch out of the game, delete Robot out of the game, delete Frost out of the game, and just 10 every round, just 10 Blazing Burns. You know, that's what it feels like right now. But this is why I didn't really want to talk about this, because I don't think any of this matters. In the same way that like the last patch note that I just read, none of that really mattered. Like, yeah, it was something. Like the Scrapper nerf was something, but people still use it. It doesn't mean, and like the Scrapper nerf was a big nerf. It was a big, like, just might as well be a rework. The less time for the airtime that it takes, matched with the Gunslinger interaction, like having to eat one more unit, which means you have to summon in one more unit, like all of that was just a big negative, and people still use it, and it doesn't matter. It's still good, and it made people use Mage Robes and Trickster, and it doesn't matter. It's still good. It's still probably gonna beat you. And that was the biggest change from the last thing, and it doesn't matter. And so, like, what do you think these, like, 0.5 to 1% changes are going to do? Anything? I don't think it's going to do anything. I've survived enough of these patches to know that most of the time, nothing matters. Unless it's a complete rework of a unit, like, unless they're functionally changing something. And by functionally changing something, I'm talking, like, what they did to Witch. Witch used to give... just in case you weren't there for this, this is what I mean by functionally changing something. Witch used to give full benefit, a bonus with Gift of the Raven if you had a level 1 Witch or if you had a level 7 Witch. And the only thing that it changed was the insta-kill talent, which activated when you had a level 3 Witch or above. You had the ability to start insta-killing things. And if you had a level 4, if you had a level 5, if you had a level 6, if you had a level 7, that would just increase your attack speed for the insta-kill, and it affected nothing else. Once you got 30 Witches, once you got 30 Witch merges, you could have a level 1 next to something, and you were getting full benefit bonus to your unit. They functionally changed that by saying, oh, you need 30 Witch stacks, and it needs to be a level 7 in order for you to get the full bonus. That functional change made everybody not want to use Witch anymore. Because now you can't just merge out your Witches at all the time. You had to leave a Witch on the field in order for it to upgrade, in order for it to be a level 7, because if you didn't do that and you just kept merging Witches, late game, you'd start death waves with like a level 1 Witch that could easily get Blazing Burned. But the difference is that because if you were to leave one on the field for the entire game, whenever you use Scrapper, the Scrapper, yes, it has the ability to hit the Witch, but also it's not that if it hits the Witch, that means it's not hitting your units. And so then you need to balance that out. And then you also need to keep summoning in Witches in order to merge those out. And it was just like, it just cluttered your field with way too many things. Whereas before, you could just merge out all of your Witches, get to 30 stacks, then leave a Witch on the field, and then try to level that thing up. And it didn't even matter, because you got full bonus whether or not it was a level 1 or a level 7, which means that even if it died, you could still just summon in another Witch and get full bonus again, and reset your full bonus. A functional change like that, or Corsair, when they nerfed Corsair and said, oh, it doesn't have percentage damage anymore. That is a functional change that made Corsair useless. Changing something from a 0.5% to a 1%, from a 3.5% to a 3%, changing things in the way that they change things like this with their buffs and nerfs don't matter. You're not even going to notice it. And it's not really going to change the meta. And all it's there to do is to make you feel better that you are Steven Stanton 8554 and your Demon Hunter is the best now. It is the best. It's going to beat everybody. It's going to be so meta right now. It's everybody invest into Demon Hunter. It's going to be so good. Thanks to this patch. Thank you, Rush Royale development team, for finally buffing Demon Hunter. You have finally listened to Steven Stanton 8554, the man of the people. He is the best. Go subscribe to him and you know, like, just I can't wait. I can't wait for all of the great content that Steven Stanton 8554 is now going to create for the Rush Royale development team. He is going to be the man of the people. Direct all of your questions to him. He is going to have a direct link to all of the devs. So yeah, just go subscribe to that man. Unsubscribe from me. Like, I don't even matter anymore. Like, that man is going to create just so much better content.